licking my lips.
We're live.
Yay! Okay. Just going to the group. Hey, yeah. Yoni is going live. Hey guys.
Hi.
So we're going to wait for a couple of people to join on. We're starting a little bit early because we know that it takes, a couple of minutes for people to gather and come onto Facebook. So bear with us while we tune in.
Ryan and I are just going to continue to eye gaze with each other through the screen.
Oh no, we're not so, we're learning about like the tech world and how to get, trying to learn how to do all this Facebook Live stuff for you ladies. Yeah, super cool. Super excited to have you guys on board and to, hopefully empower and educate you guys on Yoni health. Like John has been a close girlfriend of mine for ages, and she's been doing this for a long time. And I thought, what a better way to kind of educate and empower women is to get my beautiful Yoni queen from America on board. You've been doing this a long time, so we'll definitely go into your background and story, because I'm sure the girls want to hear about your Yoni experiences and how you've kind of
had a lot of Yoni experiences.
Yeah, I think we all have, just no one likes talking about it. That's why we're making like I say always making the uncomfortable comfortable, so people can feel like sometimes it can be a little bit touchy talking about Yoni health, or pooing or digestion, that kind of stuff. So I think it's part of our job as witch sisters to kind of really help and educate people on this topic, because I think so many people want to know about it, and often or not we don't know that there are so many preventative but also holistic methods to look after our body and mind, body, spirit. And often the time, I think for me, and I see in my practice and my work, so many women unfortunately get to that stage where they have to take drastic measures to kind of either change the health, and you have to go through more allopathic methods because they weren't aware of the holistic preventative methods that yoga, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, naturopathy. There's so many amazing modalities out there. So you kind of just, they all have the same approach, is treating the mind, body, spirit. And we love Western medicine. We think, Western medicine is amazing for like acute stuff. If you break an arm or you break a leg, go to a doctor's. But sometimes, Yoni health and Ayurveda is all about digestion and the mind, and bring the mind body back into balance, and that's when health is at its best. So I'd love to know, Jana, tell us a little bit about your journey and like how long you've been looking into Yoni health, and and you've been doing lots of Yoni parties and educating women in your area in America, and even in Bali she was doing a couple of Yoni parties. So please let us know, like, what made you get into educating women on this topic?
Well, I got into it originally for my own self-healing. I had dealt with a lot of sexual trauma in my childhood and really frequent urinary tract infections that, as I got older and started being sexually active, went into, more yeast infections and and just my pH balance was really compromised. And so I was going to the gynecologist, doing what you do when you have stuff going on and you don't have anyone to talk about it to. And then you go to the doctor, and then they, at least over here in America, it's like it can feel very shaming, like, oh, well, what have you been doing to have this situation going on? And, I never felt better. And then dealing with, low libido in my early 20s, which should be, your libido should be very healthy at that point. I came to a point where I just was like, I need to search for something else because my sexuality was suffering, my self-worth, my connection to my Yoni, my connection to my sense of self in general was all really, really struggling. And I had gotten a download that I needed to get off of hormonal birth control. I had been on and off, mostly on hormonal birth control for 10 years. And that was because my gynecologist told me that I needed to be on it, otherwise my hormones wouldn't be stable, which is like, of course, because you've been jacking them up for 10 years. So I weaned myself off hormonal birth control on my own, which I don't suggest that you do because I'm not a doctor, just making that clear. But I was guided by my soul to do that. And then afterwards, my body went through an extreme detox and rebalancing that one of my sisters, had recommended me doing this Yoni steaming for. And I started doing it. And all of these great things started happening. First of all, my libido came back immediately, which was wonderful because one of my sisters literally felt numb from the belly button down through this Yoni steaming for. And I started doing got a little bit of an echo going on. Do you hear that? Hello? First of all, my libido came back immediately, which was wonderful because one of my sisters literally felt numb from the belly button down through this Yoni steaming for. And I started doing got a little bit of an echo going on. Do you hear that?
Yes, I think I've sorted out. It's just because I had both apps running at the same time.
Hello?
Yeah.
First of all, are we good now, you think?
Yeah, one sec. Okay, cool. Go.
Which was wonderful because.
Awesome. I've muted the other one.
Okay.
All good.
So, good job, Brian.
Well, technical. Yeah, I had like the Facebook Live and the Zoom.
Do you hear that?
Yes. Cool.
Okay. So, I had a lot of stuff going on. A lot of trauma responses, a lot of imbalance hormonally, a lot of imbalance pH wise. And I just was fascinated by how much the Yoni steaming was helping me. And then I just took a deep dive into it. And then I was like, wow, I have so many women that I know would love to talk about this, and to also just be able to talk about this and not have shame surrounding it. Because, I grew up, like, if you talked about tampons in public or like vagina, like people looked at you like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? And now I love saying yoni, vagina, vulva, clitoris with confidence and no stigma at all. Like last night I was at dinner with my dad and my stepmom and their two friends who were in their mid-50s, you know, and they were asking me questions. What do I do? And I said, I educate women about their yonis. And you know, my dad's friend was like, what's a yoni? And I was like, vagina. And everyone just like, she just said vagina. And then she said vulva. Oh my God. What's going on? But they were super receptive to it once I really broke down the science behind these different practices and the reason why this is so important for women to feel comfortable talking about with each other. So that's in a nutshell.
Woo! And how many, I would say how many, I would love to know a little bit before we go into the details of like, of how to do yoni steam and of the moon cycles and stuff like that. Are there any specific kind of stories or cases for you and women that you've helped and worked with that have seen, you know, incredible results from yoni steaming? I mean, I know in my own clients, I've only been doing steaming for a couple of months, like from learning from you with my clients, and they're already starting to see their cycle regulated. After one of my clients, Erin, she won't mind me saying, hasn't had a period for a long time, and she's tried loads of different things, and now she's starting to see more of a regular cycle since steaming, I think twice or something like that. So I'm sure you have many more stories. So tell us the juicy details.
I've had a lot of amazing things happen. So I would say the most common two things that happen is because a lot of women come to me after they're coming off birth control, because I have a lot of experience with that, and you know, all of the ways to kind of lessen the load on your body coming off of the hormonal birth control. And so, but what happens is a lot of the time they won't have their period for a while, like they won't bleed, so they'll get off and then they just won't have a normal moon cycle. Or you know, if they've been under chronic stress, maybe they have PCOS, you know, maybe they're working out excessively, for whatever reason they don't have a regular bleed each month. And I've gotten a lot of women to steam in a way that brought their bleeding back. So that's always fun to hear when someone's like, oh my gosh, I had it. And I'm like, yes. So that's like the most common one. That and, you know, vaginal dryness, people having low libido, not a lot of sex drive. That's something that happens really quickly with yoni steaming. It's like basically your first time, you're like, ooh, okay. All right, I like that. And then some of my more like, I would say complicated, but really rewarding ones have been last year. So it would have been the very beginning of 2019. I hosted a yoni party in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that's where my fiance's family is from. And I had 3 women at that party who were struggling with fertility, who were having trouble conceiving, right? They were all pregnant this year.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is incredible.
One of them already had their baby. 2 of them are about to have their babies. And they started steaming after that party and working with the, you know, in the correct way for fertility. And that was awesome. And then my future mother-in-law, and she wouldn't mind me saying this either because she's talked about it. She was steaming, yeah. I've steamed in the room with Ryan's mom. It was beautiful. I love it. But so she had mentioned to me that she had had a uterine fibroid for 30 years, and she went to her fibroid.
Maybe don't know. Yeah.
It's like a fibrous buildup I'll show on here. They can be, because this is a uterus diagram, they can be located in a lot of different spots. Like, it can be in the cervix, it can be in the uterus, fallopian tubes, ovaries even. It's like a mass. And most of the time they are not harmful at all, but they can be uncomfortable. Or you can just go your whole life without even noticing them. But so she had it for like 30 years or something like that. And then the last time she went into her OBGYN, he was like, I don't know where it went. And I was like, yeah, you steamed it out. Literally,
like, I've been,
people
no,
will
say,
have
I was just saying,
huh?
no, I was just saying, I've been sending some to my clients of pictures of on this like Instagram page of people steaming and like these massive clots coming out, like blood clots. They're like gross.
Yeah. I've had part of my endometrium come out and detox through steaming too, and I've shown that to Ryan. I'd be like, oh my gosh, look at this piece of endometrium that was stuck in me. This is why I was having cramps.
Wow. I always say it's better out than in.
Better out than in, for sure, because your uterus isn't just a reproductive organ, it's also a detoxification organ, and people don't usually know that.
It's a detoxification organ, yeah.
Yeah. So we shed and release all of the hormones that have been accumulated throughout the month each time that we have our moon.
I know you were gonna go into that as well, like, because I know for my own life as well, like for ages, I thought, I don't know if anyone else is with me on this one, I thought I could, if I had sex, I think that's what they teach us in school, they're like, if you have sex, you're gonna fall pregnant. I don't know if that's a bit about Mean Girls. I don't know if you've ever watched Mean Girls. Like, if you have sex, you will get pregnant and you will die or something like that. Use a condom. But for me, we were never really taught about the ovulation stage and the moon state and the moon cycles and like the hormones and stuff like that. And obviously like the detox process that our body and mind goes through when we're on our moon cycle. So I'm sure a lot of the women would love to know about, you know, a small overview of the moon cycle. And then obviously we can go into that with the Yoni steaming and when's best to steam and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you have a normal cycle, normal-ish cycle, and you're of childbearing age, your cycle starts at day 1, and it can either be a 26-day cycle up to like a 31-day cycle. Everyone's different, but anywhere from 26 to 31 days in your full cycle would be considered normal, right? So then you have your follicular phase at the first half of those 26 to 31 days. Mm-hmm. So usually day 1 to 14 is your follicular cycle. And then from day 14 onward until you bleed is your luteal cycle, your luteal phase, right? Mm-hmm. And your moon, your bleeding time, your period is starts on day 1. So some women, they have a 4-day period, some women have a 7-day one, and if you have some imbalances going on, it can even be 8 or 9 days. I've even had 10-day bleeds. Ooh. And I know women who've had bleeding for a month straight. So it just depends on what's going on, but a normal cycle looks like day 1 to 5 you're bleeding. And then you are building your uterine lining back. Your endometrium is building to prepare for impregnation. And then on day around 14, you ovulate. And the day that you ovulate is when you actually have a chance to get pregnant. And you have a fertility window that's about, 4 or 5 days, because sperm can live for a little while in there. But really, if you're not having sex in that fertility window, you're not going to get pregnant. You know, you can't get pregnant every single day of the month. It's a lot shorter of a window. And it's why it's another reason why it's so important for us to keep tabs on where we're at in our cycle. And, you know, we're going to be feeling a lot better in our follicular phase than we are going to be in our luteal phase, because the uterus goes from like this big to like this big with tissue and blood and all of the things. So
that way you get bloated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm coming on mine now and I got like a little pouch here.
Yeah, I'm about a week out. I think we're synced up.
Soul sisters.
And I can feel it now, and you know, it's been a self-love journey, because again, for most of my life, I went around not realizing and being soft with myself. Whenever I would get the bloating, I would just be like, oh, I need to work out harder, I need to diet harder, and like bashing myself for having a little bit of a bloated belly and not looking like I wanted to for the rest of the month. And so then, you know, you're in your premenstrual period and you have those things going on, your energy levels drop because your hormones are dropping off, and you're getting the bloating and the irritability and things like that, and not living in line with your cycle, when the body's really telling you at that point, like, oh, you should probably slow down a little bit. You should probably rest.
Eat sweets.
Sweets actually make the like premenstrual syndrome worse.
Oh, why do we crave them though? I always crave sugar. I'm like, it's okay because I'm on my period.
We want the artificial energy.
Okay, makes sense.
And it's comforting. I'm a big fan of dark chocolate though. Sweetened with a little bit of honey or a little bit of monk fruit. That's good, but too much sugar will actually mess with the hormones and make the cramps worse if you have cramps. Yeah. And if you've been yoni steaming regularly, it actually gets to a point where you don't have cramps before your moon, because everything is working how it should be and your hormones are functioning properly. So the hormones that are releasing to have your uterine or your uterus contract to allow that blood to shed, and then you're not having those clots in there and that overly thickened endometrium lining. So
nice.
Periods can be nice. Like honestly, like I really enjoy my moon now. I really enjoy it, unless I was stressed out the month before. Because if I was and I was going too hard and I was pressing myself in ways and I wasn't staying on like a really nice self-love regimen, then I'll pay for it during my moon time.
Yeah, I can feel that one.
Yeah.
It's funny, I growing up, I was always like kind of the enemy of my group because I always had the most amazing periods, like no cramps. I only bled for like maybe, I don't know, 4 to 5 days, super light. Like, you know, I know my sister, poor thing, like she wouldn't mind me sharing, like, and my other sister, both sisters, I don't know what it is, but they seriously will go through like one tampon in like an hour. Like they bleed straight through. And I know a lot of women have the same thing. It's just like, can't stop bleeding. What could that be in relation to as well? Just too much of the endometriosis.
Too many like contractions, and usually if you're bleeding really heavy like that too, it's because you were stressing too much during your time where you should have been resting, which is more the luteal phase. Yeah, and going more inward. And you know, when you're especially when you're bleeding and you overexert yourself like that, over bleeding, like where you're just bleeding so much, that's a signal to your body to be like, pump the brakes. Like think about it. If we are bleeding from an organ for 5 to 7 days. If anyone else was bleeding from any other organ for 5 to 7 days out of the month, they'd probably stay home and chill.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Or be like, no, I can't go work out in the gym at 5 a.m. and do this and that because I'm
too much pitta.
Yeah.
I know, like, since knowing you, I know in my own life, like, I used to be one of those gals that would just keep going and going. I didn't even know about moon phases and like to, you know, have more time for inwards and self-reflection during, you know, your moon phase, because it can be a really powerful time for like manifestation and creation. And I guess and just like setting intentions. Back in like traditional times, they would do that, wouldn't they? Like, you know, in tribes when they would bleed together and normally in sync and stuff like that. But now, since you telling me about all of this information about Yoni health, I've noticed like, you know, when I do have my periods, I'm so much kinder to myself. Like I'm, you know, I don't go eat loads of chocolate or anything, but I definitely chill. Like I won't go to the gym as much. Like I really just I won't go out and be social as much. And I really just take that time to honor my body and myself and respect the Yoni.
Respect the Yoni.
Respect the Yoni. Power to the people. Have you ever seen, there's this thing on Instagram, and this girl, she's like, I can't really do it, but she's like this with her legs, and then she's got like this like magical like trance, and it's like the magic pussy. I love it. It's so funny.
I haven't seen that one.
It's like the power of the pussy. I was like,
oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's like shooting out to the moon.
Yeah. It's like, come on, boys.
Yeah.
Want it, can't have it. Want it, can't have it.
It wouldn't be a normal conversation with you if you didn't go spread eagle at least one time.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was wearing pants. I was like, I should probably not wear pants, like white pants, when I'm about to come on my moon cycle, but we'll see.
I mean, hey, it could be a good promo for this talk.
Yeah, I know. Take it to the next level. Maybe I'd get like a million views on YouTube, but I know that this like normal talk takes you like 3 hours in your Yoni party. So we're really kind of like basicing it today, because I'm sure we'll have another opportunity to go deeper and do some more lives and connect with our lovely ladies. And but yeah, like I would love for you to get right into it and give us, I know it's really late. I really want to appreciate Jana, because it's like 12 or 1 in the morning in America.
Yeah, so, 12:16 a.m.
So she is a real sister. Like she's staying up for you guys to educate and empower you on your Yoni. So thank you. So yeah, I know it can take a little bit of time, and obviously we want to have questions at the end. So if you have any questions, type them in the box. Maybe wait, because we'll probably answer them as we go through. But if you have any dying questions, feel free to message us on the chat or privately afterwards. Completely up to you. So yeah, tell us about steaming and how we do it, when we do it, everything.
I will. I'm going to just bring my little setup a little closer and give you guys the rundown.
This is a great drawing.
Thank you. It's got a little bit of a shine on it, but I think everyone will be able to see it.
I'm going to take a little photo of this.
I'm not the best artist, but I've drawn a few uteri in my day. Would that be the plural of uterus?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to take a photo of it though. Amazing. Cool.
So I'm going to just give a little anatomy lesson to start. This is your uterus. This is the cervix. Vulva is down here. Fallopian tubes and ovaries. And then there's some other little parts in there that we don't need to go that in depth yet.
Maybe our partners need that knowledge.
So whenever, this is the vaginal canal and this is the cervix right here, this little piece, right? Okay, so whenever you're going through your luteal phase, you get that endometrium, that uterine lining buildup that I was talking about. that makes you feel bloated, right?
Yes.
And all kinds of hormones and estrogens and things are in this uterine lining. So whenever we have our menstrual cycle each month, when we have our bleed, this all is supposed to come down and shed, and this is supposed to be nice and clean at the end of our bleed. But because of our diets and lifestyles and hormones and drugs and environmental and toxins and things like that, the uterine lining isn't always shedding completely, and so you're left with these pieces that are in there still. And if it gets really thick and stagnant, then that's when people get endometriosis, and surgery, and gynecologists will often go in with surgery to scrape all of that out, which is not fun, right? So this is a yoni, this is a uterus that has endometriosis per se. We've got the thickened lining. Well, even down here in the vaginal canal, you can get stagnation, dead skin, just like you would on any other part of your body. So that can trap hormones too. So you got a little bit of stagnation down here. And then if someone were to have, let's say, polycystic ovaries, they'd have these little multiple fluid-filled cysts on their ovaries, which a lot of the time women that have that will have too much testosterone or androgens being created in their body, and so the correct hormones to let you bleed aren't happening. And then I'll just go through one more scenario, and this is with the uterine fibroids.
Mm-hmm.
The uterine fibroids can show up either on an ovary, they can show up on the fallopian tube, they can even show up in the uterus, they can even go down here in the vaginal canal. They can kind of go anywhere, right? But they can be uncomfortable, or you can go without knowing them. Yeah, they can be big. I mean, I've seen fibroids like this big. So yeah, they can get quite big. So we got this beautiful Yoni over here who's dealing with some issues, right? She's got some stuff going on. She's still beautiful. She just needs a little bit of balancing, right? So has anyone ever gone to get a facial and they put that lovely steam on your face, and it helps open up your pores and get your lymphatic system going, and it helps if you have any cysts on your face or pimples or clogged pores. It creates a thixotrophic effect, which means to make like liquid. So it's taking something that's solid and it's making it like liquid. And what happens in the body then is when it's more fluid and more hydrated, more liquefied, then our lymphatic system, which is how we detoxify, can actually process the toxins and the proteins and the hormones that are stuck in there, right? So think about that on your face, but now think about that on your yoni. So it's doing essentially the same thing. The steam is traveling up the vaginal canal, up the cervix, into the uterus, and even as far as the fallopian tubes and the ovaries, which I know that some people have a hard time wrapping their mind around. But if steam can come from like a geyser way down in the center of the earth and move through all of the cracks of the earth, right, and the density of the earth, like you don't think that a little bit of steam can move from like the pot up into the uterus, you know? Yeah. We have a very clear pathway there. So
I find it funny how people, sorry to interrupt, people think what, steaming your vagina is like fucking crazy, but then when it comes to like putting bleach, chemical tampons, waxing, laser, it's like torture for our poor yonis.
It is. It's so sad. Like
And I'm guilty of that, by the way. I'm not
She
judging.
just needs a little bit of steam and
TLC.
a little bit of TLC, you know. So the steam goes up in there and it creates that thixotrophic effect. It takes any of the things that are dense in there and having a hard time being detoxified for whatever reason, and it makes it easier to process, right? Also opening up the pores, and bringing in extra moisture and gentle heat, you know. So I have a how to do a yoni steam at home, and in that video I show, and we can link it in this, but I show how to do it with yoga blocks. But I'm going to demo real quick how to do it with just a stool or a chair at home. And if you like this, you can definitely invest in buying what they call a Yoni steam box, which is just like a fancy way to steam. If you're an avid steamer, Brian just had hers made.
Teak wood, baby. Teak wood for my Yoni. That's the perks of living in Bali, is that you can get a Yoni box made really cheap. Maybe I should start a Yoni box business.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, I have to get you in on it, seeing as you're the one that told me all about it.
Maybe you can just send me one. I gave my last Yoni steam box away in a raffle.
You're too kind. And you gave me your Ayurvedic dry brush. I love that. I love it all. Like, that's another amazing way to get the lymphatic going, is a dry brush, and you circulate it up through your body. Awesome.
All right, so I'm gonna have to adjust the screen a little bit here, but I'll walk you guys through it. So I just have a regular stool, but you can use a chair too. And I'm just gonna set it on its side like this. So I'll eventually be sitting on it like this, right?
Looking good, babe.
The next thing that you're gonna need is a small pot. This is about 1 quart of a pot. And I like to use cast iron or stainless steel. Try not to get anything that has any type of Teflon or coating on the inside, because that carries toxins, and your yoni is one of the most porous places in your body, so it is going to absorb whatever is in this pot and in the steam. So have 1 quart. You can use larger, but you don't need to, with a lid. Then you'll take clean water, filtered clean water. Don't use tap water. If you wouldn't drink tap water, don't put it in your yoni. Okay? I
remember one time I tried to do for your coffee enema, the boiled water in Bali. You were like, no way. And you putting that in my butthole. Sorry.
No, I was not okay with it at all. And then you have your yoni herbs. Make sure that these are organic. And I have my own blend. It's called the Queen's Blend. If you want to pre-order one of those, I can ship wherever. It smells so good. So this has an array of different herbs in it. It's got rosebuds, lavender, calendula, raspberry leaf, a little bit of Himalayan pink salt, mugwort, mother's wort, rosemary. I think that's it. Oh, and a tiny bit of sage. So you want to be careful with the amount of herbs that you put in here, because too many of a certain type of herb can have an effect that you might not want. Like rosebuds, for instance, are really lovely to bring in self-love and to tone and tighten. But you don't want to tone and tighten too much, because it's important for, you can't
get anything in there. Your yoni will be so tight.
Yeah, it won't feel good. It's not a nice feeling. You want to have a relaxed yoni.
On that one. Yeah.
So I usually take about 1/4 of a cup of herbs and put it into the pot, and then I put the water in there and I put it on the stove for 15 minutes. And I let it simmer for 15 minutes. I bring it to a boil, then turn it down to a simmer for 15 minutes. That's going to break down the plant matter enough to where they'll be releasing the essential oils and the medicinal properties of the plant. You don't want to use essential oils in here ever. It's too strong. Do not steam with essential oils. After you're done, you'll take the Yoni steam pot with oven mitts and making sure that you have the proper heat protection under here. You'll take a towel first and put it like so in the stool. And this one has a very small opening, so if I naggle it in here, usually I have my oven mitt and I have one underneath and I lower it down. So then you get the pot in there, and this is going to create a nice seal so that when you do steam, the steam is not coming out the sides too much. And then you'll gather some towels or sarongs or and wrap them around your waist. I use one in the front, one in the back.
Or you could just use a dress, long dress.
Yeah. Like a big dress.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna make sure that the sarong is covering the back. I'm gonna uncover the front partially.
So you don't burn it.
And then scoot back so that my yoni isn't directly in line with the steam.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna take the lid off and let the steam come up for a little bit. You can like wave it. You don't want it to burn yourself. It should feel like warm and gentle, not like, oh my gosh, ow, intense. Once it cools down to where I feel comfortable, I'll scoot back over it and then recover the front. Then I'll just sit here and breathe, maybe meditate, journal. It's a really good time to just have self-reflection, relaxation, you know, for anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes, really. You can do longer extended steams once you start steaming with a burner, but that's a more advanced method that I don't recommend for anyone who's just starting out. I would say 10 minutes, see how you feel, and then, you know, maybe you want to wait until the steam isn't warm anymore. You know, a lot of the time you won't want to get up off of the steam because it's so relaxing. You want to make sure when you're steaming that you're in a really comfortable place. I always tell anyone that I'm surrounded by, if we're staying at like one of our parents' house, or, you know, if we're traveling, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go steam, so this is my time, so I'm unavailable for the next half an hour, 45 minutes while I'm taking this time for me, because you're so open and receptive during the steam that really anything that you're thinking about, anything that you're looking at, anything that you're talking about, it's gonna penetrate deeper. So, you know, I'll steam with Ryan in the room sometimes, but he knows when I'm steaming. Like, we don't have like deep or serious or heavy conversations. It's very like tranquil vibe, you know.
Can you just share a little bit on, obviously we've gone through the physical benefits of steaming, but also on a psychological level? I know a lot of women, and, you know, myself included, anyone that's been through any traumatic you know, event in their life, and I think we all have at some degree as women, but also even just shedding, like releasing any old evil ex-boyfriends, we say. But you know, really, like when we sleep with someone, we're really connecting with that energy field, and all the people they've slept with, that like pretty much goes way, way, way back. So can you tell us a bit more about the yoni steaming on the psychological like benefits of it?
So like on an energetic and psychological level, because you do take on that energy of whoever you're sharing yourself with, they've even done studies like that it changes our DNA when we sleep with people, that we actually like can take on some of their DNA, which is super wild. But it makes sense. So whenever I first started yoni steaming, I started having like very vivid and traumatic dreams about exes or people that I had slept with, and I was like, what? Why am I having a dream about that person? Like that was very unpleasant, you know, and I didn't like have the awareness yet what was going on. But it can bring up issues that have been stored in our tissues, you know. So if like we'll have a release, a vaginal or a uterine release, because our muscles are finally relaxing there because of the steam. You know, we hold so much tension and tightness and sore muscles there like we do on any other part of our body. And you have a somatic release due to the steam, it can really bring things up in the psyche to process. So, you know, whether it be just sleeping with an ex-boyfriend or, you know, molestation or rape that happened, miscarriages, abortions, you know, surgeries. These are all things that can be stored there. Or even, it didn't even have to be something sexual. It could just be something in your life that made you feel shamed. You know, if you did something in grade school that someone made you feel shameful about, that could come up in the dream realm, in your consciousness, after yoni steaming. It's very common.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to do with the yoni steaming, or anything you can think of that may help. Oh yeah, when's the best time to do a steam? Did you mention that? I can't remember.
I haven't mentioned that yet. So I think at nighttime, because it is so relaxing, is the best time. You won't really want to do a whole lot after yoni steaming. You might want to make love to your partner, but other than that, you're not going to want to do a whole lot. Which, be careful, because again, you're super receptive. So unless you want to take on their energy, just be mindful of that too. So I wouldn't have sex to blow off steam with your partner right after a yoni steam. I would say if you wanted to really take the time to make love and have a deep, intimate connection afterwards, then that would be more the time. Not like, you know, casual sex, which is fine, but it's just not after the yoni steam, really. And so nighttime, and if you're not trying to become pregnant, you can steam right before your moon cycle and right afterwards. So that would look like day 26, 27, 28, and then day like 6, 7, 8, depending if, and that's assuming that your moon cycle is lasting from day 1 to 5, right? So right before the period and right after the period for 2 to 3 days, depending on what you're dealing with, what your intention is. This is only if you are not trying to become pregnant. Because you do not want to steam after you could have possibly conceived. That's a contraindication. You don't steam when you're pregnant. It can give you a miscarriage if you steam in the early stages of pregnancy, and it's just not recommended. So
always after the period.
Yeah, if you're trying to become pregnant, though, this can be really beneficial if you steam right after your period before you know, try to conceive on your next ovulation or fertility window. So right after you are done bleeding, and you can steam even on days that you have brown blood. So that little bit of like spotting that a lot of women get, that's just old blood that's trying to get out. It's not even, you're not even really truly on your moon anymore. That's just old, stagnant, dry blood that's been in there for a long time that's trying to come out. So it's good to steam on the brown blood days. But if you have red blood, don't do it on those days. And then, you know, you'll steam for 2 to 3 days after. And then if you were trying to get pregnant, you would look at your fertility window, and you would have unprotected sex on those days. Wait until your next either missed period or period, and then you would decide, okay, like I'm gonna steam after this period. But if you just are pregnant, then you wouldn't steam at all again.
Can I ask as well, for women, that I have a lot of my clients, actually, some of them haven't even got periods. They have like a bladder imbalance, low body weight. Maybe they've done bodybuilding competitions and they just haven't had periods for a while. Would you recommend they still, you know, they just steam as often as possible, or what would you recommend for that if they haven't got a period and they want to bring?
They could do a 10-day steam cleanse after their next moon cycle ends. So I would recommend that whenever someone is doing a 10-day steam cleanse, that and just focus on the steaming. And then, you know, that goes into like what you work with a lot with people. You know, if they're dealing with that heavy of a vata imbalance, the steaming can help a lot, but they're going to also need to be living lifestyle practices to ground and bring in a little bit more kapha energy so that they can ground and relax and be in the feminine enough to actually bleed.
Yeah. And also, I was going to ask, I don't know if you have any more, you know, obviously, you know, there's so much we could go down like this, we could go for hours. But I know that, you know, we've only got an hour, but I would love to ask if there's any questions for people about yoni steaming before we go on to the last topic, which is a little bit about yoni eggs, just how we can also bring that feminine energy into our yoni and that self-love and practice as well, like, because it's amazing benefits for yoni eggs. So I just thought, while you're talking about yoni eggs as well, if there's any questions about the yoni steaming, please send them through and we'll read them out before we finish. Is it safe to steam with the marina? Oh yeah, thanks, Kels. That's a good question, because I steam with the marina. Gianna?
And what happened with the steaming of the marina?
Okay, so I steam with my marina, but no, you told me that it was actually really good, actually. Well, I steamed with my marina and I knew I had to get it out. I was like, my body was like, this is not right, get it out. So I went and got it out. I had it only in for about 2 months, then I got it out. I could intuitively feel, I had the copper one, I didn't have the hormonal one. I've been off birth control for like 3-4 years now. And I just knew that it's just not natural for my body. And, you know, for me, the risks outweigh the benefits. But obviously you have to choose in your own life what works for you. So, but yeah, so the marina, what would you say about steaming with the marina?
Well, I say that it's not safe because it can relax the tissues so much that it can shift. And if it shifts and you get, you know, like punctured or an adhesion or something like that due to it being off, then, you know, you can gain infection and all kinds of other things can happen. So I don't think that it's safe to steam with IUDs. I don't ever recommend it. I mean, Briya definitely just went against my recommendation, but I'm glad. I mean, it all worked out because she intuitively felt into how it felt to steam with that, and, you know, took that upon herself, and then she went and got it out, which I was super, super proud of you for whenever you did that. It made me really, really happy. just for you, because I've loved seeing you blossom and grow into your femininity and heal so much since I've known you. It's just been like, oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous to watch. Yeah, let me go through a couple more contraindications then, just so that people know when it's not a good idea to steam. So we already went through pregnancy. If you have an IUD, if you have any like tearing, bleeding, recent surgery down there, very recent childbirth, basically if you have any type of physical trauma in the current moment, it's not great to steam then. Also, if you have an active herpes outbreak, you don't want to steam until that's healed over as well. And I think that's...
Can you heal herpes with steaming?
I wouldn't say that you can heal it.
Well, not heal it. I know you can get rid of it, but can you prevent outbreaks from steaming?
If you're doing it correctly, yes, but it is extra heat in the body. So you have to be mindful of the herbs that you're using, because HSV can be aggravated by certain herbs that are too thermogenic. But from a nervous system standpoint, if you're relaxing your nervous system more down there, then the virus isn't going to come up as frequently if you're healing, you know.
I'm also what about any other like symptoms of like STDs, like anything else? You know, I'm sure we've all had something. Just me? Okay.
No, me too.
I was a slut. No, I'm kidding. So no, I'm saying, like, you know, like,
love you so much.
Chlamydia. I'm throwing it out there. You know, I'm sure everyone else has had something. But can, like, gonorrhea, like any of those sexually transmitted, does yoni steaming, can that heal that, or can it just like?
It can. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a woman that has experienced a lot with my yoni. And like I said before in the beginning, I was going back and forth between yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis. And I've never personally cured chlamydia with it, but I know women who have with the yoni steaming. And I know for me, I've cured yeast infections, and I've also cured BV before, and urinary tract infections. So, but I do know women who've cured their chlamydia with steaming.
Wow,
yeah.
Powerful.
And it's really wonderful. Just to give a little teensy background history of it, yoni steaming has been like tracked to every single continent in indigenous cultures in some capacity, and they actually still do it in Jakarta, because I worked with some local girls when I was living over there in Bali too, and you know, they came to me for some gynecological issues that they were dealing with, and I, you know, talked to them for a long time, and they told me about what they did in their villages. And so even in Indonesia, you know, people have been yoni steaming for a long time, and in Africa and, you know, the Native Americans, it's in so many different cultures. And the only reason why that was even documented is because whenever gynecology came onto the scene, they sent these doctors to go around and document where people were doing this, not so that they could learn more about it, but so that they could tell the women there not to do it, and that it was dangerous, and that they shouldn't do that because gynecology was on the uprise, and they wanted to, you know, the patriarchy wanted to cut things out and make some money. And I mean, the history of gynecology is really just effed up, like super effed up, if you ever want to look into it.
It's very,
yeah.
like, allopathic medicine is very masculine based, and whereas Ayurveda and all the holistic practices are more feminine. So they're a lot more in tune, preventative, mind, body, spirit stuff. Whereas allopathic is kind of like, symptom based. Whereas we, in Ayurveda, we're like, why wait till we get sick to do something about it? Like, you don't need to have PCOS or infertility to start steaming. Like, start steaming now when your vajayjay is amazing, and it's, it's great because it's going to prevent it when you're 63 and you still want to have good sex and a moist fanny, like Yoni.
Yeah.
Funny. I still want to have sex when I'm like 80, maybe.
Yeah. No. I'm sure you will. Knowing you, Brian.
Yeah, probably with my walking stick or something. Swinging.
Watch out, George.
Yeah. Well, that's why he likes them young, I think. Most men go for younger women. Anyway, well, I think Lucy has a question. How often can you steam? Like you said, like once before you can steam. You don't want to steam too much, or?
No, you don't want to steam too much, because you could create an imbalance steaming too much too if you're adding too much heat. I mean, it works in the principles of Ayurveda as well. Like, you're adding in heat and moisture, so you can increase pitta and kapha, and that can be good to a certain extent. But like, think about it, if you're doing it every single day, like for instance, if you're in Bali and you're steaming every day, you already have that moist, warm heat going on constantly. So that might be too much for you in excess. Huh? What was that?
I have sweaty Yoni 24/7 in Bali.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say if you did like a 10-day steam cleanse, that would be fine, but then not do another 10-day one for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then just do the right before the moon cycle and right after the moon cycle. Mm-hmm. And you could do that on a month-to-month basis and be totally fine.
And thank you. And one of the beautiful ladies, Louisa, I'm not sure how to pronounce, but Louisa, she said, can you steam without using herbs? So just hot water, or does it not really have the benefits to it?
You can use Himalayan salt, and that will be very cleansing and detoxifying, and it's not going to have all of those other herbal properties, but if you're sensitive to herbs, or you're just trying to get your foot in the door and experience it, I think that Himalayan pink salt from a good source is really wonderful, and you just do about a tablespoon or so in a quart of water, and that's really great.
Awesome. And also, quick before I know we've only got short time left, so feel free to answer any more questions if you have any. But is there any chance you could just briefly go over Yoni eggs and the benefits of using Yoni eggs? Yeah. Maybe we'll do another one and, just focusing on Yoni eggs, because I know that you love Yoni eggs and you sell them, and they're a big part of your healing journey.
I've got a couple of Yoni eggs in here. Yummy. So I always recommend rose quartz to start with, because it is self-love. So they look like this. Here's an amethyst one that I have. And this one is very astral. And I'll go into that in a moment. Let me grab my uterus again so I can show you how they sit in there.
I've got 10% on my on my laptop, so I might have to run upstairs and grab my charger if we go over.
Okay, so I'll try to be quick with this. Yoni eggs sit about right here in the vaginal canal. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Kind of, yeah.
So they're not going to go deeper than that. And what's wonderful about a lot of Yoni eggs, that the ones that I sell at least, This one doesn't have a string because this one was a defect one. The hole didn't go all the way through, but they have a little hole drilled here so that you can string thread through it, so that the string can actually come out like almost like a tampon.
Yeah.
So that you don't have that like feeling of, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this thing out, until you tone your vaginal muscles enough to actually birth it in the morning. So I like to use Yoni eggs at night when I'm not bleeding, and after I've checked in with my Yoni and asked her if she is okay with me having anything in her, which is a wonderful practice that I highly recommend, is checking in with your Yoni and seeing if she even wants to have anything inside of her or not, at any time, whether it be your own finger or a menstrual cup or a penis, a Yoni egg, anything, a marker, whatever floats your boat. Banana, cucumber, whatever you're into. And you just want to check in and make sure that she's cool with it. True. So the way that I really like to use Yoni eggs is you want to make sure that you are either naturally lubricated or use a small amount of organic coconut oil before you lie down on your back, and you really, really gently insert the more bulbous side of the Yoni egg. So this would be the top and this would be the bottom. And once you put it in, you have the string coming out, and you can go to sleep, wake up in the morning, squat down, and breathe while you birth your Yoni egg. You don't want to strain or stress. You want to envision your vaginal muscles contracting and literally birthing the egg down, so that you strengthen the mind-body connection with those muscles. And what that's going to do is, first of all, it's going to increase your libido like nobody's business. Second of all, it's going to really improve your sex life and your ability to actually reach climax and have like a deep, intimate connection, and start having more cervical orgasms instead of just only clitoral orgasms. So for the woman, it's very, very pleasure increasing. Not only that, but it is also another thing to work through sexual trauma, especially when you're working with different stones. Like I said, the self-love stone of rose quartz is really, really healing if you're wanting to process and go like really deep into your trauma, which can, my first Yoni egg was obsidian, which I don't recommend because that was intense. I started using an obsidian Yoni egg and doing Yoni steaming at the same time, and I was like having nightmares about my traumatic exes all the time. It was horrible, but I learned a lot. And then I started using the Yoni egg, and I was like, wow, my Yoni is just like magical and amazing. That's and like power. So powerful. Yeah, I literally felt like rainbows were coming out of my Yoni.
I love using my Yoni egg. Like, the only thing I recommend, right, is every time I use my Yoni egg in the morning, if I use it at nighttime, I forget that I've got it in. I go for a pee and I push it out, and I hear like this massive thing, and it goes in the toilet. And luckily, it's only been when I'm peeing. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes for me, I need to take it out before I go to the bathroom.
Yeah, agreed.
You don't want your Yoni egg in your shit.
No. You don't. And if you ever get a Yoni egg stuck in there and it doesn't have the string, just know that the next time that you have a bowel movement, it's going to come out. So you want to be ready for in the front, because it's going to come right out. Nice.
I was going to say, hi, Ella. I just want to say, only because I know it's late for you, and we've been talking for a good 60 minutes now, and I know that we're going to have like so much more of these with together, and connecting with all these beautiful women, and educating, empower one another, because we all learn from each other. Yes. I just want to ask, where can we find more about you? Like, if girls want to have like a one-on-one if they want to go learn about what herbs, if they want to buy herbs, if they want to have a private consultation, because I know you offer them, you know, on Zoom and stuff. So if you have got any, you know, specific health issues you want to work on, or you just want to educate yourself further, which is really important, you can book Jana for a one-on-one. Like, what's the best way? Can you write like below maybe your website or your Instagram, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I can put my website and my Instagram. My Instagram for my women's health is yoni.health, and I'll put that in. And then I have yonihealth.com as well, which is still in construction right now. But I just launched my other website with Ryan. It's ryanandjana.com. So people can always get a hold of me on there as well. I'll put all of the different links. There's lots of ways to get a hold of me. And to schedule one-on-ones. And I also, like I said before, I ship out my herbs. They're it's called the Queen's Blend.
I have them. Amazing.
Yeah, I've definitely loved hooking up Brian with the herbs in Bali.
It's really hard to get herbs in Bali. Like, I'm super grateful. Thank you. Bring some more out.
I will next time I come out. Sure.
Also, you know, is there any other things like events or anything that you're doing, girls, if you want to connect, you know, if you like what she's, you know, she's got so much knowledge. You're a yogi teacher, you're a masseuse, you're a didgeridoo. Like, this girl is like, she's Virgo, like my partner. And my other business partners are Virgo. So Capricorn and Virgo are like awesome earth signs together. Like, you are my inspiration. I've learned so much from you. You told me to speak my truth when I was scared to. You helped me steam my yoni. You've always been there as a sister. So I just want to say thank you so much. I honor you and your loving presence in my life.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry, Brian. I love you so much.
my little queen, she's getting married in soon, in a couple of months' time. So exciting news for you. It's going to be such a beautiful thing. Hopefully I can make it back there. But yeah, we're going to leave this online. So for you guys like watching, or if you want to play it back, obviously we're going to type in all the stuff so you guys can find Jana and connect with her if you want. Obviously I do the one-on-one coaching, Ayurveda. I do programs like detox programs, helping women find their purpose. And you know, in my journey, it's been a big one, like coming to Bali and like literally being immersed in this like amazing field of connection, like learning so much about myself and healing and, you know, all the stuff that we go through as adults, basically. And then hopefully the more that we can heal and we can help others. So this is why we want to do this, is just to help educate you guys so you can also, you know, have a beautiful life filled with lots of beautiful yonis and love and connection. And yeah, we know, like, I guess back in, you know, hometown like England and America and, you know, all the places around the world, you know, it's hard to kind of sometimes find a tribe of women and of people that you connect with that are like-minded, that are into this kind of stuff. So we have to kind of create it virtually. Yeah. I've
seen you grow so much. Just like, you just have, like, I mean, you're so tenacious, and like the glow up has been so real. Like, I'm inspired by you. Like, you've inspired me to get more online and everything. So, you know, having sisters that you can learn and grow with is so valuable, and just holding each other accountable and believing in each other and telling each other that you're freaking a badass queen when you need to hear it.
and when you need to hear, when you're you know, maybe need a little bit of a kick at the butt.
Yeah, that too.
No, I think like this is why I've got this group, is to really like lift each other up, because I think, you know, so many women are in competition, and I mean, I know that I used to be like that, like jealous of other women, and now I'm working with women. I see how beautiful it is to kind of learn from each other and grow together, and it's all energy, isn't it? We're just sharing energy, and you help me, I help you, and we all lift and evolve together. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone who tuned in and everyone who's going to watch the replay. And we're gonna write underneath some of Jana's contacts. You can contact her one-on-one if you want to learn more about Yoni steaming or Yoni health or anything like that. But yeah, we love you, we honor you, and thanks for showing up. Thank you, Jana, for staying up so late. I really honor this. Like, I'm such a boring, like I go to bed at like 9. So if you tell me to do a webinar, like especially a free one, like if it was paid, maybe I could like wait for it. But literally, thank you so much.
Of course. I was happy to do it. Happy to do it.
Amazing.
I love creating with you.
Yes, we're gonna have lots more. So stay tuned. We'll be kind of co-creating together in the next couple of months and joining forces. And you've got your retreats coming up in your retreat coming with Rye?
Yeah, Rye and I are hosting a retreat in California March 6th through the 8th. So it's a little weekend retreat. And it's a luxury estate, and it's going to be all organic, whole foods, home cooked, really intimate experience. There's a sauna or steam room, jacuzzi, beautiful grassy area for yoga. There will be yoga and fitness, and really a big focus on gut health during the retreat.
Put the link to it so people can check it out. Yeah, we've got loads of cool things coming up, like doing, a bit of self-promotion. It's how we kind of have to expand ourselves. I've also got 3 mini retreats coming up in April, May, and June with my other Virgo business partner, Elise. I know, we're going to be launching that soon. So I'm going to keep it a little bit secret until we launch. But yeah, we just want to bring it in person, because virtual is amazing, but in person is just the healing connection that you get from one another. And retreats are just such a powerful way to kind of go deeper into your own growth and healing, and having fun. Like, life's about fun, and we need to remember that sometimes. So yes. Om Namo Narayani. We brought in our goddess sisters to help cultivate this kind of Shakti power. Shakti is power and life force. And the more that we do these ancient practices that have been around for thousands of years, we cultivate our intuition, we cultivate our empowered, embodiness to kind of take our power back. Like, so often or not, we give our power away so easily, and this is all about getting our power back. And and I hope that that's helped today. And please feel free to write your comments if this has helped, and if you need any more help, feel free to message Jana and I.
Yes,
all right, big love.
Bye, love you.
Bye, ladies. Thank you. Bye. Love you, Jana.
Love you.
Amazing. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Love you.